Is this working? Okay. Um, let's go. That didn't work. Um, yeah. So basically, I just wanted to probably seen the title already, but so Al started, and so there have been like two main comps alongside the well, there have been like three main kinds of comps. Actually, never mind, that's confusing. There have been a lot of comps in Owl. A lot, some of them okay, some of them yeah, some of them like I, I don't even know. Um, cough Reaper cough. Um, but yeah, so there are two main ones which, or well, so the two ones which everyone has been expecting and complaining slash like sometimes complaining about is goats. So goats being Ryan, Zaya, Diva, Lucio, Zen, Brig. Um, that's goat. That is normal, completely standard goat. Um, what a lot of people, including what a lot of people, including me, didn't expect, which I probably should have, or at least thought about more, was floats is being played a lot on specific maps. So floats being short for flying goat, um, or it's not Dote. Please don't call it Dote. Winston, Zaya, Diva, Lucio, Zen, Brig. So I just wanted to talk about that, talk about what changes, what what the difference is, why would you run Ryan, why would you not run Ryan, why would you run Winston, how do they, what are their roles, what are they doing. So so let's just start off with this. So Ryan, what's his, well, so both Ryan and Winston, what's their role? Main tank. So the idea behind main tank is they take space. That's kind of a basic explanation, but they take space, and they hold space, and they are the one on the front line who is going the one taking the most damage, and often the one that will die first. You can see there's a lot in goats. Almost always it's either Rhino or Diva who will die first, and this is because both of them play very exposed roles. Ryan is in front of everyone, and the entire idea, and so because he's in front of everyone, he's the most exposed. He's the easiest person for the enemy to kill. This is also true for Winston, even though he isn't strictly a frontliner. Um, he is also um, one of the most exposed. Well, he plays very exposed, very like, that's not what I meant to do. Very like out there. I'm recording the right thing, aren't I? Yeah, I am. Good. So main tank, take space and hold it, which is quite useful. And so, why do you take space? What's useful about having space? Well, um, so it varies between archetypes. If you're playing a rush comp, such as goats, such as floats, such as dive, any comp which plays in close range, usually they'll be defined by having a Lucio. Um, then the goal is to take space so that you can get into close range, so that you can engage with the enemy in close range. What in poke comps, it's kind of different. Poke comps are kind of weird, to be honest. Um, so by poke I mean anything where your main win condition is in long range. So Pharah is a very good example of this. You might see Pharah run against Ghost. So for example, the Pharah, Sombra, Hammond, D.Va, Lucio Zen, I believe it was. No, not Lucio Zen, Mercy Zen. My bad. Mercy Zen. So what that kind of plays around is Pharah. So well, you have Hammond on the front. He's he's engaging usually from an alternate angle. He's just being a nuisance, being a distraction, being the like an annoying child asking you questions constantly. So you're like, and I don't know, that was a bad joke, but it's like if you're on the phone with someone you need to talk to, and there's just an annoying child, Mom, why's the kitchen blue? Why's the sky blue? I don't know. Why would your kitchen be blue? I don't know, but yeah. And so then Sombra, her main aim is to hack D.Va, hack anyone who is going to cause you issues. Usually it's D.Va. If you hack D.Va while you're playing Pharah, then you basically win a lot of the time because then they lose out on DM. D.Va to stay on point. Actually, contest point mean that you and to contest the enemy D.Va a lot of the time. She can get swapped out for a Tracer sometimes. I haven't really thought that much into it, to be honest, because Goat is still really good. Mercy to pocket Pharah, Zen to help Pharah as well. But anyway, so like that. So as you can see, everything is focused into Pharah, and so what that changes is that you're no longer really your tanks are a lot more about just distracting than actually being on the front and taking space. And so, but it's still the same kind of concept. You still want tanks as far forward as possible because otherwise, then the enemy get into a position. Even if you're super far away, they still get they're in a position to the main difference is that a lot of the time, especially in Poke Mirror, the most vulnerable target isn't actually the main tank, which is weird. It's quite like yeah. Um, but yeah, so you take space because it means you can play where you want to play, and it means that when you're engaging, you can put more pressure on the enemy. Example I use quite a lot. Riding goats. If you've got everyone here, and you've just got if you've got everyone here, this is one ghost team. And then on the other side, you have and you have 4 people here, and then you have D.Va there. What's going to happen is you're pressuring from that angle, and she gets directly past the Rhine shield, and she puts more pressure on the Rhine because she's shooting the Rhine, and so the Rhine has to move backwards. And so that's big because the entirety of Goat is fixed around doing that. And so that's kind of niche in a way, but it's the same like it transfers between every comp. But whatever happens, if you have map control and the enemy don't, you will put more pressure on them. You're going to, when you engage, you're going to have an advantage. Um, and yeah, so that's the first part. Now, Rhine. What does Rhine do? I mean, so the obvious thing is, sorry, shield. And pretty importantly, he can move with his shield. He can move forwards and backwards, and left and right. Although that's usually not that useful, because shield is like, well, it is useful, but it's like forward and backwards is the main thing you're concerned about. Like Ryan should never have his shield like this. This is bad. Okay, and so what does that do? Well, so it's quite a small shield. It's not meant to be like if we so box here. This is the map. It's not meant to be like Ryan shield here. Okay, I don't care. Let's set a widow up here. Because the thing is, a lot of the time they can just set up someone at an angle, and this is like a small board, but so they're gonna get engaged on there. But like the shield is too vulnerable to be used as like a stationary, just set up people behind it. Which is why he hasn't been used a lot previously before Brig. And he definitely hasn't been used in poke comps, which was the previous meta. Because he just doesn't work like that. He's very easily surrounded because it's a one-dimensional shield. If you have people taking angles on you, like here, like, and then he's going to get shut down quickly, right? So that's in poke. That's when you're playing poke. So he wants to play in close range. Is what I'm trying to say. He don't like if you've got a widow here. He's like it doesn't do anything. They go around the shield. They shoot widow. Doesn't matter. So what he wants to be doing is he wants to be playing super close because if he plays super, what if I just do this? This is probably smarter. If he plays super close, then he can block everything and he can move forward and backwards, which is important when you're playing close. And so because of that, he's good in goats. So and he's very good at holding chokes. Yeah, so if you've got choke here, he's here, was there, team behind there. This is too large a choke. Let's make this choke a bit smaller. Like that. Team gets a spam that way, and then if they don't have a shield and they're up here, then it's bad because like he's there. Team gets a spam. He gets to push forward. He gets to take space. He wins. Yay! Because you have a shield and they don't. And also, so So that's where he's good, right? Close range, one direction, moving forward. That's where he works. So he's usually been the better pick in Goats matchup. Because if you've got a Goats v Goats matchup, you've got two Rhine Shields in front of each other, then you need both Rhine Shields. Because if you're playing both teams in close range like this, you don't want one without a shield. But it's the entire idea of Goats right now, because since Brig's done, doesn't go through shields, the entire idea of winning is based around destroying the shield. And so that's where more micro comes in. It's like D.Va's taking angles, got Lucio's all around, all that stuff. But that's more detailed Goats, which we don't need to go into. So that has been the case. Winston, difference with Winston. So what does Winston do? Winston doesn't have a shield. He's vulnerable. What he has is leap and bubble. Right? That's it. He has Tesla, but that's like, and he has a fair bit of burst damage. But that's mainly on smaller, like more vulnerable targets. And you want to keep him away from smaller, more vulnerable targets. But what does that change? About, like, surely he goes in against Rhine, he walks in, he dies. They don't have a shield. They get spammed out in close range. What you do is you don't play in close range. Which I see happening, like, done wrong too often. Rhine thrives in close range. Throughout, like, he has a shield with 2000 HP that lasts the entire time. You don't want to run into him, right? So what Winston does is he's different in that while he suffers if at close range, if you're playing him throughout, like if you're just playing him in front of the enemy, frontlining the entire time, he's very good if you just have a single, like, that was a bad click, that was also a bad click, that was an even worse click. Just imagine a click, and so that's how much time the dive should take. Just nothing, boom. Nothing, click. That's how his dive should go. The reason he can do that is, firstly, he has a jump. He can play at long range. He can, like, if you've got Rhine, if you've got a Rhine Shield here, Winston here, main team here, dive. You don't have to be up here to engage anymore, unlike with Rhine. With Rhine, it's like just move slowly along if you're a long range, but that's not the case in Winston because he has a leap. And secondly, bubble. So going back to what I said, leap and bubble. So what does bubble do? bubble is, well, so just so if you land on the enemy, so, and let's say you bubble here, so enemy here, you land here, teammates push in as well. They can't shoot you from outside the bubble, and so that's big, and you can shoot them. And so what that does is when you're playing in such close range, so yeah, you don't have Zen Discord, which is massive. Brig can't shield bash you, provided you're playing it correctly. You can't get shot by Zai, you can't get shot by D.Va. You're going to take very minimal damage. And that's important because if we, so for example with the Rein thing, with the Rein matchup, what I was talking about earlier, it's just who does more damage to the enemy. And if you're not taking most of the damage, which they are, they're gonna die faster. It's like, and it's like at this point, Goats turns into like, I don't know, Soldier versus Bastion. Who can do damage faster? Like, just start at the exact same time. Who has high DPS? You or me? It's me. Because I have the shield, which prevents Discord. And so it's mainly Discord. And there are other aspects, but that's the main thing. And thing about this shield is it's what was I gonna say? Sorry. They're forced to move backwards with it. But the thing is, it's stationary, and you dive in, you plant it behind them. It's not gonna change even if you move back. If you move back over here, and the thing is, if they move forward, oh look, they're split. You have to have that entire team forward, and if you plant that on a choke, that's massive because, oh look, they've just gone outside the choke, and so you've taken the choke for free. And this doesn't always happen on like if you're playing like Nepal Shrine, it's like it's very hard because you're getting forced to funnel through main, and they can kind of destroy you with that. But yeah, so Winston plays more like a kind of flank tank. Is kind of what I'm trying to get, or like he's not. But like you see, I drew him at an alternate. I drew him, sorry, at an alternate angle. So reason of that is he's just a distraction, like Hammond was in Farasam in that comp. I call it stress build because I think that's an amazing name, but like no one else does. So yeah, not that I think this comp is good, but like I gave it a name, so. But yeah, so he's just a massive distraction, and he basically nullifies Rein, right? Because his shield works in close range, but only if you're standing in front of it. And this is kind of what a lot of these comps try to do. They just try to nullify the enemy main tank because the enemy main tank is the only thing stopping them. And so one thing I will say about float is it gets absolutely destroyed if you let them walk into you, because the only way you can actually do this is by attacking first, or by being the ones engaging, because otherwise they engage on you if you're like standing around, and you just get like they don't even have to engage on you; they just spam you out, and you get destroyed, and your Winston doesn't do anything because Bubble is an awful defensive ability. And I hate it when people use it defensively. It is not defensive. They will walk through it. Um, like, if you're walking backwards and you drop a bubble, it doesn't matter because they're all already walking forward. It's like dropping an Orisa shield while someone's chasing you. It's like, yay, for a second I'm okay. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure if I should talk about the float matchup. I kind of want to. Okay, I will because I've already talked about the Rhine matchup, and I just want to. Actually, no, I won't do it on here. I'm gonna do it here. Wait, actually, I need to change these. 40. Pull. Float. Okay, that's pull. Let's go. Okay, so we've seen a lot of goats on here. Or float, sorry. Floats. Red. Blue. Okay. Okay, so basically generally, where you play okay, let's say they've moved past this stage. They've taken this initial choke. Actually no, let's not say that. I don't like that. So I just want you to notice the difference. Okay, this is massive, but it's not letting me change it, so let's go, dude. Is this working? No, it's not. So EpicPen. Yeah, so notice the difference. Like, just the small bricks should be further away, but like, notice Winston is never playing. Like, I'm not putting Winston next to his team because the thing is, Winston is still always a distraction. Whatever happens. And if you, sorry, and if you don't have him, and if you just have him with your team, then you're just gonna get dived because he's not doing anything. Because defensive Winston does nothing, as I already said. Winston needs to be always proactively taking space, pushing forward, and that can happen for both Winstons on both teams. But and so generally you'll have this kind of initial fight between the Winstons, and you won't have and so team will fairly easily, or like Winston will be able to just get around this corner, Right, but he'll still be able to play here, and then you might have Winston going over here. And then the team pulling back here. And then, but the main thing is you never want to have. So let's say Xayah commits bubble on Winston. That has to be like if Xayah commits bubble on Winston and Winston gets pressured out, that's huge because Winston dives back to get heals. Now, look at this. It's a single unit. And that's bad because Winston doesn't function in a single unit very well. And so what happens is you have everyone here, or these guys push. Winston dives in. Winston goes aggressive. And it doesn't matter even if he does have jump. It's like, where's he going to go? Just jump away. And so this is how a lot of floats matchups end up playing out, is someone will mess up their bubble, their like a Xayah will mess up their bubble or something. Or something will happen, the Winstons will fight each other, and one will jump back, because that's the only option they have apart from die. And the issue they have there is this Winston is doing nothing. Literally nothing. This is like the Rein getting dived by the Winston and having bubble on him. It's like there's nothing he can do because his shield is like Orion's shield wouldn't be there. He's getting attacked from all angles. His shield is doing nothing. He's no longer holding space. Same with this Winston. Whereas this Winston is doing very well because this team is moving forward. Right? This team is moving forward. And if this team is moving forward and they bubble, that's huge. That's like bubble. Sorry, I messed up my colors. Or not colors. Sorry. That's huge. That's oh look, now Zen can't shoot. They need to move back, and so that's how you win. In Float. You need to win the Winston matchup, and then you need to dive them as soon as they become a single unit. Because as soon as the Winston is no longer a distraction, you lose. But yeah, so hopefully this was useful. I did this like I tried to do this earlier, and it was like didn't really work. So I'm hoping this went better. I think it did. But yeah. And if you want me to talk about something at some point, I don't know, then just tell me.